Talofa lava, this is Pacific Waves from RNZ Pacific. I'm Susana Suisuiki. E hari ake nei, the Vanuatu Supreme Court will decide the fate of an MP next week. Also, a protest led by uni students in PNG gets heated literally. And later...
Obviously our penalty count didn't help us at the end, but like you said, the effort was there.
Samoa loses to Japan in the Rugby World Cup, ruling out quarterfinals. The Vanuatu Supreme Court will deliver its verdict on the future status of Vanuatu MP Bruno Lenkone on Monday next week. Mr. Lenkone's seat was declared vacant this week by the Speaker of Parliament, Seoli Simeon, on the basis of him missing 3 consecutive sittings of Parliament while receiving medical treatment in South Korea. The Speaker's ruling at that time allowed him to avoid a vote of no confidence against him, with only 25 MPs on both sides of the House. Mr. Lenkone's fate also has bearing on the life of the newly installed government of Sato Kilman, who is set to face a motion of no confidence on Monday, just 3 weeks after he himself rose to power through a leadership challenge. RNZ Pacific correspondent in Vanuatu, Elia Bule, spoke with Koroi Hawkins about the situation in Port Vila.
What was the situation change that brought about the numbers change?
Well, the change of number began shifted when government deposited a motion of no confidence against the current Speaker of Parliament, Seoli Simeon. And when they went in Parliament on Monday to debate that motion, the government realized that they don't have the absolute majority of 52 members present, which is 27. They only have 26, and the opposition has 25. 3 members of the Parliament defected from the government side and joined the opposition. But surprisingly, the Speaker may make a decision to declare the seat of the Member of Parliament of Ambre, Bruno Lenkone, vacant. And that has resulted in the reduction of the government number to 26 to 25. So it means that now we have 25 on the government side and 25 on the opposition side. And straight after the opposition side deposed another motion of no confidence against the current Prime Minister, Sato Kilman.
Now, the Bruno Lenkone case is before the court, so we're expecting a verdict Monday morning. Also Monday morning, Parliament will be sitting. Is that correct for the motion of no confidence to be moved? Is that your understanding?
Yes, Parliament will sit on Monday, but it will depend very much on the verdict on Monday morning, because there was a trial this morning, today, but the judge said that he will deliver only his verdict on Monday. So the outcome of Monday will depend very much on the decision of the Supreme Court, the verdict of the Supreme Court on Monday. But still, there will be a problem, because if Bruno went back to the Parliament, and the government will have 26, and government must have 27, because the current Parliament has already fully constituted by 52 members. Last time, the appeal court was saying that the absolute majority was 26, because at that time there were only 51 members of the Parliament present. 1 seat on Malakula was vacant, but they already elected a new member of Parliament on the Malakula. It makes that now we have 52 members of the Parliament. So both sides must have 27, otherwise there will be a problem.
Now, this is less than a month since Sato Kilman deposed the Prime Minister Ismail Kalsaka on his own motion of no confidence. We talked a bit about how close this was in terms of the numbers at the time. Do we know anything about the 3 MPs who moved across from government back to opposition, and any reasonings as to why they moved?
So far, they haven't given why they have defected from the government side to the opposition side. But we have the Member of Parliament of Ambai, who was the Minister of Sport under Sato Kilman, who resigned recently and joined the opposition. And we have and also the Member of Parliament for Tonga, Chonamos. And the other one is the newly elected Member of the Parliament, who was elected during the by-election over a week ago, Duncan. So there are 3 of the government side who are now in the opposition camp at Pele Island in the North Fate.
Now, our understanding of the rules around, obviously the other option floating around is the dissolution of Parliament. This cannot be called for by the government because of the requirement for a year in government before that can be triggered. Is that correct? Or can the president still call for a dissolution of parliament on his own accord?
No, because the dissolution of the parliament must have the request of the Council of Ministers to make the request to the President of the Republic to dissolve the parliament, and the parliament cannot be dissolved before 4 November. This parliament was established on 4 November last year, so they have to wait until 4 November this year, and then parliament will have 1 year, and then the Council of Ministers can make a request to the President of the Republic to dissolve the parliament.
Okay, so I was under the impression that with the change of government that would reset, but it's based on the term of a new parliament coming in. Is that correct? So from the
Yes.
snap election, parliament being created to November 4, that's 1 year, and from November 4 onwards, we could have that as a possibility.
That is correct, and it means that if next week the parliament change the government, and after next week again they change another government, but they can play around like this until 4 November this year, and then after the president has a good reason to dissolve the parliament because we have political crisis.
Are you hearing any opinions from the public, any commentators domestically, locally in Vanuatu about the political instability, what impact it's having on business, on life in Vanuatu?
So far, we haven't heard about the complaint or the support of the people, but mainly in the Facebook, you have mainly also the supporters of the both sides. They make comment, but for the ordinary people in the island, the motion against Prime Minister is becoming part of their life.
Now, in terms of the votes on Monday, are you already seeing or are you anticipating lobbying from both sides to try and pull members across?
Well, there have been an attempt last week. They sent 2 boats from mainland to the island, but they were chased by the people of Pele. When they arrived, the 2 boats arrived and Pele, they were chased back to the main island. The 2 sides, they have to lobby because the difference of 25-25, it will be a fragile government. So I'm sure that the both sides, they are trying to get more number before Monday.
Ilya, thank you so much for keeping us abreast of the ongoing developments after the court case on Monday, and obviously the motion on Monday as well.
Yeah, thank you.
The quality of the curriculum appears to be at the heart of student protests at a Papua New Guinea university, which resulted in cars being burnt and dozens of students arrested. The small and normally sedate University of Natural Resources and Environment in Kokopa, East New Britain, has been rocked by the events, with local media reports of 2 senior students facing charges of illegally protesting and being a party to arson. As many as 51 students are reported to have been arrested, with students involved in the action suspended from classes. Don Wiseman asked our PNG correspondent, Scott Waide, what is going on?
There's a series of complaints that the students have brought to the management, and I think the prime concern has been the quality of the programs that some of the students have enrolled in. And one that has been of particular note has been the climate change program. I don't know if it's a degree or diploma program, but that is the program that they're claiming is unaccredited by the university, or at least by the higher education department. And they also claim that the quality of lecturers that are teaching the programs, not just the climate change program, but other programs, are not of the standards that they deem suitable. So one of the points they raised was that they don't have PhDs. Some don't have PhDs and are in the system that is supposed to give degrees and diplomas to students. So that's been of primary concern. Now they've gone ahead and protested since the 18th, 19th. That has escalated. They've so far burnt vehicles, and they've demanded that the management team resign. So all of that in a space of 2 weeks, it's escalated to that level now.
Yes, then there have been arrests. I think dozens of these students have been arrested. What's the university had to say about it all?
Well, the higher education secretary, Father Jan Juba, says he's not going to negotiate with, quote, criminals. That's how he put it in the papers. Don Pollier, the higher education minister, has also said he's taken a hardline stance, saying the concerns that have been raised may be valid, but the approach that students have taken hasn't been appropriate. And university management, and that warning has been extended to all institutions, that the managements of those institutions have to take ownership of the problems that have been brought to them and fix them as soon as they arise. But not many people within government are keen to negotiate with the students who have demonstrated and contributed to the violence that's happened.
All right. Well, climate change, of course, is a huge topic and extremely important. Do we know what it was about the teaching of this subject that was irking the students?
Yeah, I haven't been able to establish the content of the course or what it's expected to deliver. And what I'm telling you is primarily from the perspective of students who have come forward and said it's not an accredited program. Now, what form of accreditation they are referring to, I'm not too sure. But the fact that they've raised concerns about a program that was recently introduced is something that needs to be, I think, properly investigated by government authorities. I mean, if students are feeling that it's not a suitable program, it may be a suitable program for the country, but I mean, if they're saying it's not accredited, they're saying it needs to be investigated and determined if it's suitable to be delivered at the university.
Samoa's chances to reach the quarterfinals in the Rugby World Cup are diminished after being beaten by Japan 28-22 in Pool D. Both sides scored 3 tries. Samoa came roaring back late in the game, but it wasn't enough. 11 Samoan players in the matchday 23 were in the team that defeated Japan 24-22 during the Pacific Nations Cup series earlier this year. Samoa's rugby captain Fritz Lee told Sky Sport the effort was there but failed to secure a win.
I thought Japan was more clinical than us. We just got to respect the ball more than we did tonight. Obviously, our penalty count didn't help us at the end, but like you said, the effort was there. We could have turned the game around at the end, but we fell short.
Manu Samoa's coach says the amount of cards his team has picked up is concerning. They already had 2 yellow cards during the World Cup, on top of a yellow and a red card in their match against Japan. Well, Vasa Manaya Selala Mapusua told Sky Sport it's a worry.
It's very concerning, and as I mentioned at the start, we've got to be technically correct, otherwise we will be punished, and we've seen that in the last 3 games. Not just in our games, but throughout the whole competition. So we're hopeful that we can get it right for next week.
Samoa's final World Cup match is against England, but they're effectively out of the running for a playoff spot. Meanwhile, French fans have been turning up in numbers to back the Flying Fijians at the Rugby World Cup. Their presence at the Stade de Bordeaux against Wales and in Saint Etienne against the Wallabies has been acknowledged by the Flying Fijians head coach Simon Raiwalui.
Yeah, well, we definitely feel the support. You can hear it at the stadiums, and we're very appreciative of it. We've obviously got our fans that travel very well, but I think we have a real connection with France. Obviously, Weiss is here. I've played here. I lived in France for 11 years, so we have a connection with France and the French people. And I think with their influence within the top 14 in the Pro D2, there's a connection there. So I think, I think it's got a lot to do with how the boys play, the spirit that they play in. We definitely feel the support and we appreciate it.
He says his players are well prepared and understand the challenge they face in this weekend's clash against Georgia.
We take one match at a time and we respect each team that we play, and there's no harder or easier games. Georgia is a very, very tough team. So we've had that mindset since we started, just taking one task at a time. I think the break came at a good time. The boys are we're a little bit tired, and it's good to have mentally refreshed, and we've prepared well this week. So yeah, we've gone into this week understanding what the challenge is, and we're prepared for that.
That's Pacific Ways for today. To listen back, head over to rnzi.com/programs. We're also on Apple, Spotify and iHeartRadio podcasts. From myself and the RNZ Pacific team, till 5:04.